Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I wanted to start by showing you what Web Surfology sent me. At Web Surfology, give them a follow. Sweden goes from being the first in adopting banknotes in Europe in 1661 to introducing its own digital currency in 2021 and becoming the first world's cashless society in 2023. And he's retweeting this article, which I'm not going to go into. I just wanted to make the point. It says here, Sweden starts using its own digital currency. We have another walled garden, but this time it will be a country. And so, as we've talked about over the last week, we're going to have a lot of digital currencies. Many of them are going to be stable coins. A lot of them will be security tokens and all kinds of different digital assets. But there will be one digital asset to bridge them all, to bridge all of these walled gardens. So I just wanted to show you that, but you can see where this world is going with just that one tweet right there. Next, I want to give a shout out to at Status, XRP_Crow, at Status, and you can find his website, which is really good. He puts together these really cool graphics. Status let me see if I can see it better. Yes, it's status.hr. I had replied to an Elon Musk tweet earlier this morning, and I said, because he was talking about Bitcoin, he said he only owned like 0.25 Bitcoin, and I replied to his tweet. I said, XRP is faster than a SpaceX rocket. That's fast. And Status immediately went and made this little graphic, so I just wanted to give him a shout out and say I appreciate that. But definitely go check his website out because he has all kinds of really good graphics about XRP and Ripple, and you can really learn a lot by going to his website. Okay, moving along. This is, every time I see this name, I think I'm saying that right, Tian Fury, at FOURIETIAAN. Every time I say that name, I'm thinking about that boxer. I think I want to say he's this big, huge guy. I want to say he's from Ireland, and his name, he calls himself Tyson Fury, and literally he's named, I don't know if he changed his name or if he's named, but I saw him on HBO Sports one time, and I think that he was named after Mike Tyson. This guy is huge, and he's like a tough guy. But anyway, every time I see this name, that's what I think of as Tyson Fury. But anyway, it says Japan could break the mold by approving the first ever crypto exchange traded funds. And I didn't want to get too in depth on this, but I do want to read you a little bit about what it says. Because one of the themes of what I've been telling you is not only will the U.S. Approve ETFs, they're going to approve them because this is a global phenomena, and they're not going to let all these other countries pass them by. It says, if latest news stories are to be believed, cryptocurrency exchange traded funds might be on their way to the market sooner rather than later. In this regard, it is being said that the Japanese financial regulator is currently making immense strides to create a legal framework for crypto ETFs that will help them enter the economic mainstream in the near future. To be even more specific, the Japanese Financial Services Agency, FSA, recently revealed that it has been procuring data so as to gauge public interest regarding an ETF-related financial offering. As per a trustworthy source that wishes to remain unnamed, the number of institutional players interested in a cryptocurrency ETF is significantly higher at this point, so much so that the FSA is once again looking at the possibility of releasing such a financial tool soon. So you can see right there, folks, that's what is coming. And it is going to be a very interesting next few months, in my opinion, because I think the U.S. is going to kick into high gear a lot faster than people think. Okay, next, this is from Bird's Eye XRP, at Birdeye19. people interested in Ripple XRP are not interested in Bitcoin, says Andreas Antonopoulos. Now, I'm not going to go into this article. I just wanted to pass this along. This guy, more or less, in this article, this is a Bitcoin guy, and he more or less in this article is saying, which I kind of agree with, that Bitcoin and XRP are not really competitors. And they're not competitors, he's not going to say it, I'll say it. They're not competitors because Bitcoin is a completely inferior technology. That's why they're not competitors, first of all. Second of all, XRP is working on a very specific use case and has a complete, smart, and connected team behind it. Bitcoin has no team. Bitcoin is scattered it's all kinds of people all over the place. There is no leader. There is no team that's driving the use case for XRP like Ripple is, or any particular use case. That's why they say Bitcoin, because of the inferior technology, they say Bitcoin is going to be a store of value because it can't be anything else, because it can't compete with the better technologies, period. Moving along. This is from Darth Ripple, at Ripple Darth. Ripple clients, and this is huge because of what I'm going to lead into from this. Listen to this very closely. Ripple clients include 2 of the top 4 global banks and 4 of the top 20 U.S. banks. Also, BOA, HSBC, WU, XOOM, and Amex. Zoom is owned by PayPal. Chris Larson is an advisor board member of HSBC. So, you can see how tied in all this is. Okay, this is something that's in my crawl this morning. This for months and months and months, there's something that to me is so obviously doesn't make sense that that something has to be afoot. When 2 + 2 in your life, especially you young people listening to me, if everything that you're hearing, you ever listen to someone say something, or have you ever known someone that didn't tell the truth often, and you'll hear them say something, and as they're speaking, it's just in your mind, it's just not adding up. It's just not adding up. Well, I'm here to tell you, usually your gut is exactly right, and usually your first instinct with those type of things is exactly right. And I'm here to tell you, I've been listening to this for months and months and months, and some of the smartest companies and people in the blockchain industry will not say the word Ripple and will not say the words XRP unless it's brought up, and then they will answer a question and move on. They'll get away from that topic as fast as they can. That is not a coincidence. I'm not some conspiracy guy, but I'm telling you, it has not added up. These are people who are literally investors in Ripple that will not say one good thing about XRP. They'll talk about Bitcoin. They'll talk about anything except XRP. And then they will minimize Ripple and they will move on to another topic as fast as possible. I've seen it time and time again. I'm going to show you 2 examples right now. This is from Sergeant Obi-Wan. Bitcoin, BTC, and Ethereum should be focused on. XRP maybe later, says Blockchain Capital Spencer Bogart. Now, I want you to look at this. This is the article there that he's referring to. I'm going to get down to this. He says, this is down here. He says, if we're looking at significant players in the market, I wouldn't go further than Bitcoin and Ethereum. We can consider Ripple's XRP somewhere down the line. Now, I want you to, I just want to take that one little statement. Now, this guy's not a dumb guy. This is one of the largest companies in blockchain. He works for Blockchain Capital. Okay, let me see if they tell you his title. Spencer, but he's a partner at Blockchain Capital, and I'm going to show you who they invest in. This guy, let's read this again. If we're looking at significant players in the market, I wouldn't go further than Bitcoin and Ethereum. We can now consider Ripple's XRP somewhere down the line. If you think this guy does not know that Ripple is much faster, much more scalable, cheaper, everything better than both of those digital assets, you're crazy. He knows all of that. That guy knows everything that you and I know about XRP and Ripple versus the competition. He knows everything we know. There is a reason that a guy like that is steering people away from XRP and towards Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't know what the reason is, but I know that there's a reason. I'm 44 years old. I wasn't born yesterday. This is red flag city for me. And these red flags have been going up for me for months now. And I'm going to give you another example. But first, I want to show you who Blockchain Capital is invested in. What do you know? They're invested in Ripple. Look who else they're invested in, just as a side note. Ledger X, they're invested in Kraken, they're invested in Harbor, a lot of these companies I've named before. They're invested in Coinbase, they're invested in Blockstream, you name it, Bitwise, Bitfury, BitGo, BitPesa, Abra. They're invested in all of the major players. They know exactly, I believe that's Circle that they're invested in. They know exactly what Ripple is and what XRP represents as compared to these other digital assets. And to think anything else would defy common sense and logic. You and I did a tweet about this today. You and I, just about all of us, started with Bitcoin on our digital asset journey. We ended up at XRP. XRP is the largest, by far the largest and most active community in digital assets for a reason. It is the largest and most active community because common sense and research and reading, it all led us from Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these others to XRP. There's a reason for that. It's because it makes sense. It's because 2 + 2 does equal 4. And everybody who really looks at this, you go to a Ripple website, go to Ripple's website, and you look at all these people involved, and you look at all of the connections and their pedigree and what they're doing around the world, and it's the only logical conclusion. And then you see all these 51% attacks, and you start reading that mining is being controlled by China with Bitcoin, and you start to see these things, and they make it's very common sense to be eventually led to XRP. It only makes sense. And it made enough sense for these guys to invest in Ripple. And does it make any sense? If you just put yourself in their position, if you were an investor in Ripple, the company, would you ever have anything bad as an investor in Ripple? Would you have anything bad to say, or would you divert anyone's attention away from Ripple or anything that Ripple is involved in? And the answer to that is no, you would not. That's why it doesn't make any sense. And I want to show you this example bothered me when it was said, and somebody brought it back to my attention yesterday. This is from five months ago, back in September. Mike Novogratz was on CNBC, and he said this. They were asking him about Ripple. Now, that's another interesting thing that I've brought up before. On CNBC, I can't count the number of times that they will show on the screen Bitcoin, Ethereum, then they'll skip to like Ethereum Classic and cover a couple of other digital assets. They will literally take XRP out of, even though it's the number 2 or 3 digital asset, they will take it out of the little index they show when they flash it on the screen. The only time that they talk about Ripple or XRP is when XRP is going crazy price-wise and they can't ignore it. Those are the times I've seen them cover XRP. In this particular case, they did bring it up, and Mike Novogratz was on CNBC. He says, listen, they're building a great business. Full disclosure, we're a 1% owner of Ripple. The company, not the coin, but the company. The company's building a great business. They've got a good story. In other words, the inference here is the company's great. The digital asset's a piece of crap. And that doesn't make any sense. That makes absolutely no sense. The company's totally legitimate. Now, what they're doing with XRP, what the people that run the company, they talk about XRP all the time and all the different things that they're doing with XRP. The CTO, David Schwartz, all the time. Brad Garlinghouse, they talk about XRP and how great it is all the time. But you've got an investor here who poo-poos XRP. That doesn't make any sense. It defies logic. 2 + 2 does not equal 4 right here. And it's bothered me for months. And he's not the only example. I can tell you names of companies and organizations that will not speak the name Ripple. I'll just name a few right off the top of my head. Circle will not talk about Ripple. ErisX will not talk about Ripple. Bakkt will not talk about Ripple. Now, when asked, yeah, they'll talk about it. but they will ignore it. They will ignore Ripple. And Tim Draper will not talk about Ripple. I believe he even invests in Ripple, but he will not talk about it. He'll answer a question if asked about it, but he won't talk about it. Gemini Exchange, the Winklevoss brothers. I showed them, I did a poll on Twitter, showed them where I could deliver them somewhere between 1,600 and 2,000 customers if they listed XRP. They would not even respond to the Twitter, the thing on Twitter. And I'm not saying that they owe me a response. I'm not saying that I'm that important. I'm not. But there were a lot of people on Twitter that were right there in front of them. And these guys are on Twitter. They're active. And they would not respond. And I was even telling those guys that I like what they're doing for the industry with their advertising campaign in New York. They would not respond. They won't even speak of XRP or Ripple at all. It's an amazing thing. And these aren't dumb people. None of the people I'm talking about are dumb people. These are smart people. There's a reason that they won't speak the name. There's a reason that they won't. Remember, I've brought this up before. My kids used to watch the Harry Potter movies all the time. Voldemort the evil wizard was so powerful that they would in that series of movies they always had a saying. They would say, the person whose name we do not speak. They would not even say the name of Voldemort, and that's what this always reminds me of. They know that XRP and Ripple are that powerful. I can't figure out why these people who own a part of the company, the only thing that would make any sense to me from a guy who owns a part of the company would not speak about it, is if it was a part of some kind of a plan that something was going on behind the scenes where they weren't ready yet. That's the only thing that I can come up with that makes any sense with all of this. But anyway, this is what else he said. Now keep in mind, he says this knowing Bitcoin has gone from below pennies to being worth as high as $20,000. He says, when something jumps 3 times, I don't understand. It's a short squeeze to a degree. I'm sure people were short. I'm sure there were new buyers. And he's talking about XRP there. He just doesn't understand how XRP could go up 3 times. But he understands how Bitcoin, which is susceptible to 51% attacks, is slower, less scalable, and more expensive than XRP. He understands how that would go up 3 times, but he doesn't understand how XRP would go up 3 times. I'm telling you, 2 plus 2 does not equal 4 here, folks. And any time in my life when 2 plus 2 did not equal 4, I smelled a rat. Something doesn't make sense. Something's going on. I'm here to tell you, I don't know what it is. I don't know. But everything, there are some extremely smart people in the XRP community. There are people, I read things they say and I'm like, wow, that's really smart. I wouldn't even know to say that. There are people that really know their stuff and they're here for a reason. And these guys are not dumb either. This is a Goldman Sachs guy right here, this Mike Novogratz. He was at Goldman Sachs. You don't get hired at Goldman Sachs unless you're a sharp cookie. There is something, I'm telling you, there's something going on. This is what he runs, Galaxy Digital. Galaxy Digital, look who they're invested in. Backed, BitGo, Bitfury, Bitstamp, BlockFi, Ripple. I mean, it's crazy, folks. There's something going on. Now, I want to give you the backdrop to that, okay? Meanwhile, Brad Garlinghouse is at meetings that are being attended by the IMF, Christine Lagarde, who runs the IMF. The people at Ripple are having this type of meetings. We've got the chairman of Ripple, who is over in the Middle East, meetings with some of the most powerful and wealthy people in the Middle East, banks and central banks. But meanwhile, Mike Novogratz, who worked with Goldman Sachs and is an investor in Ripple, cannot bring himself to say anything nice about XRP. And moves on as fast as possible and wants to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin being, that's the same digital asset who just now started being able to tip on Twitter due to another one of our brilliant people in the XRP community, Wheat Say Win. We've been tipping in the XRP community for almost a year now. These people in the Bitcoin community are just now able to do that. And yet people who actually are owners in Ripple, the company, can barely figure out anything nice to say about XRP. That doesn't make sense. It makes absolutely no sense. It sends off red flags left and right for me. And anytime red flags go off, anytime your gut screams at you like this, something's not right, folks. Something, I don't know what it is. Something's going on. I don't know if it's a planned thing. I don't know if there's some type of agenda. But what you're seeing is not what you see is not meshing with common sense and logic and reason. And for that reason, I'm calling BS. Something is afoot. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that the digital asset investor has red flags going on. And I'm not talking about bad red flags. I'm talking about the good kind. Because when people are saying things, smart people are saying things like this that don't make sense, makes me feel really good about my XRP investment. Thank you for listening.